What's up, everybody? It's your boy, World of Wrestling, here today to discuss about AEW Dynamite, June 10th, 2026 review. I thought this show was okay. I didn't think it was as good as last week's show. I know I didn't review last week's show. It's been a while, actually. The last time I reviewed an episode of anything was actually last week's Raw, which I did watch Raw last week, or this week too. I just haven't gotten around to covering it because I have been busy trying to watch the NBA Finals. And let me put it to you this way, guys. Watching the Knicks suck against the Spurs in Game 3 Monday night, I said, fuck it. I'm not sitting here and going to watch another game Knicks and have to watch them lose again. In which case, they're losing horribly. They're losing by almost 30 points. Currently, right now, this is why I haven't been producing a lot of video footage, and I am sincerely sorry to you guys because I'm taking away time of covering what really does matter most. I am sincerely apologizing for that. The Knicks are losing 81-59. 81-59. The Knicks suck. They lost game 1 by 4 points, and now in game 4, they're losing by over almost 30 points. They suck. I hear one fucking person tell, oh, it's just game 4. Bro, it's over. They're done. They're finished. The fans even knew it. That's why they went outside after the Knicks game in game 3 and beat the shit out of a bunch of San Antonio Spurs fans. Well, also because New York's full of fucking animals, which is why I would never live there. Love the prestige of the city, but the people there are garbage. Would not dare live there. I can't stomach Florida, but I can only imagine how shitty fucking New York is. Would not live in New York, ever. You could sell me Pennsylvania. Hell, you can even sell me New Jersey over New York. With the years that have gone by and how shitty that state has become, you couldn't pay me to live there. It's like trying to live in California. No, thank you. I don't want the eastern version of California and living in New York. No, thank you. Don't want nothing a part of that. I would go live in Pennsylvania and freeze my ass off. I lived there for 2 years, loved it. New Jersey, not so much. I didn't really like the people there. Don't like Florida, and really not much to do here, even though people say, oh, there's so much to do. No. Once you've done enough things here, you get bored very easily. And not to mention, nothing's ever open. Now, Las Vegas, totally different story. I love that fucking place. Went there for a whole week vacation. Didn't even want to come back to this fucking place. But had to, obviously, because I live here. And I would definitely move there if I could find a way that's a little bit more cost effective than it is here. And if I ever find that in Nevada, it doesn't have to be in Vegas, but if it's in Nevada itself, I definitely will consider moving there because I'm tired of Florida. I can't stomach this fucking place. But thankfully there's people leaving Florida because they're fed of it too, so there you go. But yeah, Dynamite, not a bad show. Continuation of Mark Briscoe's story with MJF trying to get a world title opportunity. Apparently at not Double or Nothing, Forbidden Door, we're getting 6-on-6 action inside of a steel cage with Mark Briscoe having 5 guys of his and MJF having 5 guys of his, which he's already reached out to Don Callis and obviously offered money. As if he was a pimp. Yeah, he actually says that in the fucking promo during the backstage segment that they had. That was funny. What else? We, I don't know. Swerve Strickland had a good match with Brody King. That was a good main event. I thought that was pretty good. Last week's episode, though, it was hitting on all cylinders. I thought last week's episode was fun to watch, very enjoyable. I watched last night on the MyAEW app using the VPN, so if you guys are fed up of paying $39.99 every single month to be able to watch these fucking pay-per-views and are tired of watching it on the other sites that show you poor picture quality, get a VPN and sign up to the MyAEW for only $19.99 a month, and you too will be able to enjoy AEW for $19.99 a month, and you get the entire library as well for that price. So you're basically only paying for the pay-per-view if you really want to look at it, and that's it. Everything else is in your hands for $19.99. I think that's a great deal and well worth it. So get the VPN, Surfshark. I got mine for 6 months for $29.99 every 6 months, and that's all I'm paying for VPN. I think that's a great deal. It is a little extra because of the VPN part, but hey, if you want to be able to save money month to month on pay-per-views and being able to watch the weekly televised shows so you can keep up with the product itself, I think that's the best way to go. And you can mirror your telephone or your cell phone or your tablet to your TV set in your home, and boom, you got a great picture quality. And I've done that recently, and it works very well. And it comes in very well. No issues, no problems, no lagging, no nothing. So if you guys are interested in stuff like that, go for it, because it's well worth it. Kevin Knight, he cut a promo tonight. Let's just go over the entire event before I bore you guys to death with non-stop other shit that has nothing to do with this show. So Tony starts to repeat. Okay, so Tommaso Ciampa started off the show. He made his way out. And Ciampa had a look at Ciampa forcing Schiavone to state that he's better than Chris Jericho at Collision. Tony states to talk about what happened 2 weeks ago, but Tommaso cuts him off, telling everyone once again that Tommaso Ciampa is better than Chris Jericho. Schiavone starts to refuse, but is threatened by Ciampa that this is not I'm not asking you, I'm telling you type of thing. Tony starts to repeat that he stated on Saturday, but Jericho makes his way out to make the save, and Ciampa is having none of this, yelling to cut Jericho's music as the crowd sings along with his theme. Tommaso asks if everyone's happy to get the song and dance done, and stating that Jericho is finally here in the flesh. What do you have to say for yourself? I don't understand why he would have to explain himself when he did nothing wrong, when Tommaso was the one that attacked him for no reason at all. I quite don't understand that, but okay. First, Jericho has to say he wants to know who he needs to talk about fighting someone that actually has hair. That's funny. The second opponent in his storylines is bald as well. The crowd chants bald. The chant's cut off, though, by Ciampa before Jericho apologizes and offers to start again. He introduces himself, but Tommaso says he knows who he is before referring to himself as the man who laid Jericho out a couple of weeks ago. Jericho says, "Hello, Tommy," which doesn't go over well, as Ciampa says nobody calls him Tommy, not even his own mother calls him that. And Jericho replies to say this by talking about Tommy's mother, before running him down with a series of insults while running down the reasons Ciampa hates him so much. Ciampa talks about Jericho joking around too much, but Jericho insists he doesn't think it's all that funny. He talks about what Ciampa did to him, how he needs to get the stick out of your ass, Tommy. This riles Ciampa up before the two come to blows, but security comes down to break it up. They bring Jericho away from the ring, but he gets past them and charging at Ciampa to get some more shots in. Officials finally manage to defuse the situation as commentary turns their attention to what's coming up later tonight, including the recent development that Maya World is filling in for the injured Saraya to take on Sky Blue later on tonight. We head backstage where Renee Paquette tries to talk to Kevin Knight and Don Callis about what happened last week. Callis hypes up the Jet, calling out MJF after resolving his issues with Speedball. Andrade El Idolo cuts in, telling the newest member of Don Callis' family to get in the back of the line as he's ready for his shot at the world title. Knight runs down Andrade, and telling him the real champ is here before walking off, and Don assures El Idolo he will get his title shot before heading out, and Dynamite rolls on. This is an interesting storyline development. We got a little bit of friction going on within the Don Callis family. There might be a possibility that Andrade El Idolo spans out on his own. Maybe he finds a new manager, possibly. But the thing is that there's a little bit of who's really necessarily deserving of the World Championship next between him and Kevin Knight. Which, later on in the show, when MJF asked for recruitments, Kevin Knight was one of the guys that stepped up and offered his services to MJF, and he said, I'm not really fond of you, but I don't mind going ahead and giving you a shot if we end up winning. So if we end up winning, yeah, I'll give you a shot, and if you end up losing, you're not getting another one, and it's over. And again, that was brought up by Andrade to Don Callis, and Callis reassured him once again that he will get a shot for that AEW World title soon enough. When that's going to be, he'll probably never get it. That's just him using Andrade as a way of keeping him away from the title and just having him as an errand boy for the Don Callis family, really. That's the way I see it at this point. That's his whole operandi and how he's being utilized within the Callis family. Next, we had Jon Moxley defending the Continental Championship against Shane Taylor from Ring of Honor. Why this is even a thing, I have no idea. I don't even know why Shane Taylor he actually looks strong at the end of this, even though he lost, because he attacked Jon Moxley, and the Death Riders came down to help him, which I thought was insane. Mox is handed the title after the match and starts to celebrate, but Taylor is not taking this loss very well as he blindsides the champ post-match. He is handed a belt to whip Mox with before Daniel Garcia comes out to make the save. He gets jumped by the infantry as Marina tries to offer assistance, only to be laid out by Trish Adora, and STP retreat and regroup on the stage, enjoying the damage they've done. Very interesting. So apparently the Death Riders are now all of a sudden all baby faces instead of just Jon Moxley. Very interesting. We cut to a vignette with Mercedes Moné claiming the women's division lost its power while she was gone, and she's back not for redemption, but to defend what's hers, the Owen Hart Championship Cup. Hazuka is next, and the CEO always collects. Okay. Back at ringside, Don Callis and Kevin Knight come out to boos from the crowd. Callis introduced the newest member of the family in the Jet, who thanks him for making Knight feel so welcome in a weird city like Cincinnati, Ohio. He runs down Speedball before talking about being the face of the TNT as the crowd chants "Fuck Don Callis," obviously. Knight gets a laugh at this before talking about Callis considering him the number one asset and recruiting him with a big signing bonus. He then calls out MJF to get out here as he looks to become Jet 2 belts. But out comes Darby Allin instead, who blindsides Knight with a skateboard to the back. He takes a microphone and says he hopes New York was worth it before looking to do more damage, and only to retreat as the rest of the family run out to make the save. Commentary talks about what just happened before looking ahead to our other matches tonight, including Pac taking on Mark Briscoe, which was actually up next after that. That was a good matchup, by the way. So Mark Briscoe and Pac was a very entertaining matchup. Mark Briscoe picks up another victory over Pac in this one. Hard-fought victory, but I really wish that Pac would be put in better situations. I wish he was treated more as a valuable asset to the company. He's more like just to help build stars by getting W's over him because of his name, I think. And he just pretty much comes across like a jobber, honestly. So, it's just my viewpoint on that. After the match was over, Mark gets a microphone after the match, calling out MJF since the champ decided to keep ducking him. Briscoe says he has a direct path to a title shot, telling MJF to get out here. MJF comes out, and they go to a commercial break after you hear his music play. Why that was they chose to do that is weird, but seems like WWE-esque bullshit. Back at ringside, we hear from MJF, who comes through the crowd towards the ring, insisting we are on the champ's time. He says that no one is above or more important than the champ here. And the final word on Briscoe getting a title shot is no. They say a rising tide raises all ships, and whether people like it or not, MJF is the rising tide of this company. These people should be thanking MJF for protecting the title from guys like Mark Briscoe. Mark brags about being with the conglomeration, but friends mean nothing, claiming that money talks and is everything. Not really agreeing on that, MJF, because if it was, it would solve all problems, including making you very, very happy, which still don't do that. We get a twist of lethal variety as we find out what this means with Jay Lethal and his prodigies Blake Christian and Lee Johnson blindsiding Briscoe. Mark starts to fight back, but a Jay Driller is blocked before Jay Lethal tries to connect with Lethal Twist. Get back into it. Before Lethal Twist gets back into it, MJF says that your boy Briscoe sucks before the conglomeration run down for the save. Briscoe gets a microphone of his own, pointing out that MJF is not the boss of AEW. He's just an asshole. He's going to need to find some friends or someone he can pay off because Briscoe came to terms with Tony Khan on the main event match for Forbidden Door. Briscoe and 5 of his buddies will face MJF and 5 of his 6-on-6, and if Briscoe's team win, he earns a guaranteed title shot. And like sicko he is, Khan said that match will take place inside a steel cage. MJF is beside himself, yelling that it ain't gonna happen, as Andrade El Idolo makes his entrance for our next match. Don Callis can be heard sneaking his way onto commentary as Andrade stares down MJF on the stage before heading to the ring, with the conglomeration heading out as we get the match underway. So Orange Cassidy and Andrade El Idolo, fairly decent match. Andrade ends up getting the W here and walks away with the victory. Andrade is presented with the IWGP Global Championship. Very nice title, by the way. And a microphone after the match. And he has one question for the crowd. How you know? He and Callis celebrate as we cut to a video from last week. Ospreay addresses advancing to the Owen Hart finals after beating Mark Davis, which, by the way, was a fucking entertaining matchup. Definitely enjoyed that match. Maybe overbooked as fuck, but it was still very enjoyable. Some things they did in that match were questionable, like the driving Will Ospreay's skull on the mat, not saying that his head actually hit the mat. I don't think it did. But, I mean, taking those type of risks with a guy who just got over neck fusion surgery, not a very smart move. That's taking one of your top stars and putting him back on the reserves for injuries. It's not a very smart move, in my opinion. Just business sense-wise. He admits that he admits to owing something to the Death Riders for his success, but is interrupted as Alex Windsor rushes in to embrace her husband. Ospreay assures her everything is fine, shoving the camera to turn us away from the moment before commentary hype up our next match that's still to come. We cut to a vignette focused on Tekla's issues with Stardom promotion over the past year or so heading into Forbidden Door. She promises to close the door for good and declares death to Stardom. I do like the promo she cut last week, actually, and spitting on the Stardom logo and then giving it the bird. I thought that was very interesting and very enjoyable. Backstage, Mox tells Shane Taylor he could have just walked away after their match tonight. He steps away, still struggling, as Shafir tells Trish Adora all the weapons she brings won't be enough. Garcia likes the sound of all of that before issuing the challenge to STP for a 5-on-5 street fight at Collision, before saying Shane's group is following him straight to hell. Okay. Next we had a Women's Owen Hart Foundation Tournament quarterfinals match with Sky Blue and Maya World. They do mention that Maya World's brother passed away. Very unfortunate. I'm sorry for her loss. She ends up getting the W here. Match, not so much interesting to me. I didn't particularly care for it. She did get a good pop, though, from for the victory. She ends up celebrating out of the ring as we see an angry Sky Blue getting over what just happened. We cut to a vignette featuring New Japan's Zack Sabre Jr., who addresses his recent match against Nigel McGuinness before calling out Kenny Omega. He wants to know if Kenny is still the best out there, and Forbidden Door could be the platform to answer that question. Like the matchup, it's a match that you can throw on the card, obviously, because it is Forbidden Door, but there's no fucking story here. It's just strictly pure competition, and that's it. So following that, we did go backstage with Don Callis and MJF. And as I already mentioned, MJF wants the services of Don Callis' family, of 5 members that he has, of the top guys he's got to use that he can help do this match. So, at the end of the day, Don Callis at first was like, what do you think I am? Some kind of pimp? I just throw some my guys in here and that's it. That's all I do, and I just do what you tell me to do. And then MJF pulls out a fucking big ass briefcase full of money, opens it up, and everyone's mind changed instantly. He's like, oh, okay, that's a lot of money. And MJF's like, yep, that's right. So are you gonna help me or what? And he goes, yeah, no problem. No problem at all. And Kevin Knight steps up. He says, I'd like to be part of this team, and if we so happen to win, I'd like to get a shot at your world title. And he's like, okay, you want a shot at this world title and lose again? By all means, go ahead. But we do win this match, you get a shot at this title, and you lose, you ain't getting another one ever again with me being champion. So just remember that. He said, no problem. I'm all for it. So Kevin Knight's all in on this. He's for the idea of going about doing this. And I honestly feel like the reality is real simple. We're going to get Kevin Knight possibly win. This is a real toss-up. I do like the idea that they threw in Kevin Knight to get an actual opportunity, while Mark Briscoe is also part of this scenario, where if his team wins, Mark Briscoe gets the shot for the title. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, whoever's getting the shot at the title is getting this during a Dynamite episode. So no one is to be expected to win the world title from MJF at this point. But what I do expect to see happen is Kenny Omega picking up the victory over Zack Sabre Jr. Yes, this is going to happen, folks, unfortunately. Kenny Omega is going to pick up the victory over Zack Sabre Jr. in a great performance, because Zack Sabre Jr. is a great technician wrestler, but he's very vanilla character. His character is boring, but his wrestling is outstanding. I've never seen a Zack Sabre Jr. match ever be boring. Well, maybe some people might disagree with me, and if that's the case, you're welcome to your opinion and your perspective on that. I found his matches to be very technician wrestling based. Now, some people might not find that entertaining. Maybe they'll like the flips and the dives, and if that's what you like, good for you. I want to watch wrestling, not gymnastics. That's why I like MJF so much. Not just because of his character, but his in-ring wrestling ability is not the same as everyone else. He's actually wrestles normal, which I wish wrestling actually had. I kind of miss that. But then again, being away from wrestling for all this time, watching sports for the last week, I've missed watching wrestling and reviewing this shit with you guys. As tired as I get from my job, I miss doing the review. I really do. And I feel like I've let you guys down with that. And I really do want to continue to do these reviews with you guys. You guys have... I appreciate you guys that have stuck with me through all this. And no, I have not been consistent. I'm not the best at this. I'm probably not anywhere near even mid-tier. I'm bottom of the barrel. And I want to figure out a way to get this as a legitimate job. Because obviously, AI is going to take people's jobs. And I got to figure out another way to earn money. And that's pretty much it. Anyway. Let's continue on here. So, what was I saying? So it's very interesting how this is going to unravel, but yeah, whoever wins that match with Mark Briscoe's opportunity or Kevin Knight's opportunity, one way or the other, MJF's walking away with an opponent to face, after Forbidden Door. So obviously he is going to face one of them on a Dynamite episode for his World Championship. And then we're going to get Kenny Omega winning against Zack Sabre Jr. And Kenny Omega is then going to get the World Championship from MJF. That's what I believe is going to happen in July at Redemption in Canada. Hence why the name Redemption, because he's going to get a second shot to win in his hometown. And then Kenny Omega is getting the opportunity to defend that title against Will Ospreay in a 1-month reign as champion and end up losing it. Now, there could be a possibility where Kenny Omega gets fucked over by Will Ospreay and Will Ospreay becomes a heel with the Death Riders. That's a possibility as well. Why we need to go with Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay at All In is beyond me. I don't know why we need to do that. It seems so convoluted and just overkill, in my personal opinion, to go that route. I mean, if you really wanted to go that route, you should have had him win at Dynasty in Canada. But I didn't feel like Kenny Omega needed that title yet. I do believe he would have gotten a shot. I honestly think they shouldn't even bother with Kenny Omega getting the title. I think MJF should keep it till All In, lose it to Will Ospreay, and then Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega can go at it at some point in time near the end of the year, like World's End or something. Kenny Omega doesn't need to be on a big stage with a world championship. I don't know why they need to go this route. I mean, they could always book World's End in Canada or something at some point down the line during the year. They have like 6 months left to do that. So I don't understand why they couldn't just done that, and we could have still got the Will Ospreay Kenny Omega match. I mean, granted, it wouldn't be in front of a big ass stadium like Wembley, but still, I mean, like, come on. Just my thoughts. But anyway, the main event was Swerve and Brody King. Good matchup. Swerve ends up winning thanks to the help of Prince Nana's attack on Brody King, and he ends up getting the W and walks away with the victory. So, overall, it had some stories they were telling. There were some good matches. It was a decent show. Last week's episode was better. It was a really fun, electric show. I had a lot of fun watching it. And yes, I watched it Tuesday night after watching the Stanley Cup Game 4 game. And I thought it was a fun show. I wish I would have watched it live and gave you guys my viewpoint on it, but it wasn't a bad show at all. I had a lot of fun watching it. This episode wasn't as bad. It wasn't bad either. It was a fairly decent show, but not as good as last week's. But man, I got to admit, they are telling some stories a little bit more. They're elevating their game. It's mostly centered around the World Championship. The other stories going on, I mean, Will Ospreay, he seems a little fucking warped out of his mind. He's hanging around with guys that try to break his fucking neck. Now all of a sudden they're trying to do a redemption story, trying to make up for what they did to Will Ospreay, I guess, to make him a better version of what he already is, which is an excellent wrestler. So I'm not really getting this storyline, but I mean, anything involving the Death Riders has never made any fucking sense to me, honestly. So it is what it is, you know? But again, not a bad show, fairly decent, entertaining stuff. Wrestling was awesome tonight. Just like last week's episode. But yeah, there's no denying this. They're far superior. Their format of their show is far better than WWE. WWE is too fucking boring and bland. AEW is more edgy. AEW has more life to it. The fans feel more like they're part of the show. WWE's fans, they're just there. They seem like they're just there for the sake of being there to say, look, I was on a WWE show. Good for you. And guess what? You gave WWE a chunk load of your money that you're going to have to sit there and pay off for a long period of time. Or otherwise, unless you had the funds to do so, you just forked out about fucking $5,000 easy without blinking an eye. I think that is absolutely dumb and a waste of your time and money. I don't think that is smart financial, business decision there for yourself. So, me personally, I wouldn't spend a fucking dime on a WWE show. AEW, yes. If I had the funds to go see it, it's reasonable. It's not outrageous. They're not fucking crazy with this shit. Tony Khan, I'll be honest with you, even though he's a rich boy, he wants to be like the normal everyday person. He doesn't act like he's superior than everybody else. He listens to people's criticisms. He does make adjustments on his shows from time to time. He doesn't take every criticism and just make that adjustment for the sake of doing it. He listens to our criticisms, and some of the criticisms, he listens to and he adjusts to it. He wants to make people happy. That is the whole objective. You want to make your customer happy. If you make your customer happy, they are willing to give you their money. If you want to make money, make the customer happy. What is the big fucking problem? They're paying you to go see your event. Give them something to enjoy. Don't give them something that's low down, watered down garbage. That is why as much as AEW can make all kinds of dumb mistakes, possibly, they're still in it to want to win it. They may not be at the level they should be, in my personal opinion. And I think that's because of lack of knowledge of doing pro wrestling for Tony Khan. He needs a guy like a Vince Russo, and possibly, this is crazy for me to even say, Eric Bischoff, but I don't think they're on good terms with each other. He needs somebody that has great knowledge of the business. Mick Foley, possibly. I don't know how Mick Foley is storyline-wise, creatively. But if there's somebody you want to go with that has knowledge, I'd say, yeah, give Mick Foley a shot. See what he can do for a month. See if he can build a good story around for the entire pay-per-view card. At least 3 good stories, maybe 4 good stories. The rest of them with some good wrestling involved. Just to start off with, if you can go ahead and do 3 to 4 good stories, solid, in-depth stories, that get you wanting to watch this pay-per-view and paying for it, that is a positive move in the right direction for me. To me, that's the right direction you want to go. If you can start off small and build off of that, that's great stuff. But that's Tony Khan. That's his decision. That's what he wants to do. We have no control over that. The one thing I can say is Tony Khan does give a shit about his customers. And he's just like us. He loves pro wrestling. He is a fucking nerd. I guarantee the motherfucker likes anime shit. He's a fucking nerd, man. You saw him backstage with fucking Mark Briscoe tonight. He's a nerd, man. I fucking love the dude, man. He may be a geek to me. He doesn't look like a Vince McMahon looks like a businessman, but Vince McMahon's personality and the way he thinks is depraved. So if I had to choose between the nerdy businessman and the depraved fucking degenerate who looks like a badass, I'll take the nerdy businessman. Because deep down inside him, the core of him is a good person. He's just, he's wet behind the ears. He don't know this shit. He's trying. I'm giving him credit for one thing. He at least puts some effort into this shit. Triple H has shown us time and time again he can book a good show. And since he's gotten to where he is, and now he's in Vince's place, he is just as bad, if not maybe even worse, than what Vince McMahon has done. I don't know, man, but they're a fucking toss-up or just a carbon copy of each other. I swear, if I didn't know any better, Vince McMahon was still running the fucking show, and we're just using Triple H as the frontman puppet for Vince McMahon's bullshit. But then, again, it's not all like Vince McMahon. Vince is very goofy, slapstick, poor poop jokes and bullshit and all that. Look, I don't see anything between the two as the same, but their mentality of effort is the same. Triple H is Vince McMahon 2.0 with a little bit of a dash of difference between the two. That's about it. The styles is about different, but the creative mentality, the same. Book the same shit over and over and over. Just, please, go fuck yourself. And take your overpriced tickets with you. You suck. But I still will watch WWE. I'm not going to lie. I will watch the shit. I love pro wrestling. I spent a week not really covering it here, and I've missed it. I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be sitting here talking to you guys. I'm sorry I missed out on doing the videos. I've been swamped with work. I've been swamped with the keeping up with the NBA Finals. No more of that shit. I'm not fucking doing it. I'm just not doing it. I'm not wasting my time watching the NBA Finals and being disappointed by my New York Knicks. I'm fucking done with the Knicks, honestly. I think they suck. But anyway, guys, at this time, you know what to do. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed to the channel. And leave a comment down below. I'll definitely get back to you on that. Thank you guys very much for watching. And have a great night, guys. Bye.